this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts. As you can see, and I might put that in the title, I want to show you my little haul from Friday when I went to the Dreamatorium, the Lavinia Stamps new premises, for their first open day. It was really exciting. I don't want to make you jealous, but it was absolutely magical. I really had a fab day. I went with two crafty friends, and yeah, I bought quite a few things. And I always say this in my videos, and that's why I normally don't do hauls anymore. I don't want to entice you to buy these things, but I thought for those of you who'd like to see what stamps Lavinia have got, I thought I'd just show you these quickly. So I will put here in my video where I'm going to start making a card. So if you're not interested in the haul, you can just pop forward to that. So these are in no particular order. I just, grab them from my bag. I always go, when I go to Lavinia Stamps, always go in the shop first, buy the things that are on my shopping list. And I did, by the way, that's at the bottom here, I did take my printed stamp list. Lavinia Stamps have got that on their website, so you can tick off the stamps you already have, so you don't buy any duplicates. But I always find, once I've watched demonstrations, I always find there's the odd stamp I want to get again, so I'm going back in the shop part and grab those. So, and I'm not even sure some of these which collections they are from, whether there were some new ones. So this is Wild Foliage. I really like the ginkgo leaves, and I like to use my small leaves to create wreath, and it's always nice to have a few fillers. So I got this one, and I think it was Emma Jo who used these on her shrink plastic, and I thought they looked really nice, so I got these when I went in the second time. And then I know that I got this on the second time round. This is the cloche from the new from the Dreamatorium collection. At first I thought I didn't need it, but when I saw it being used, I thought, yeah, I really like this, so I'm going to be enjoying using this. So yeah, it's just called cloche. Then this is from the last collection. This is just called bench. This is from the, I always want to call them heffalumps, they're not, the herbalums. And at first I thought I didn't need it, but when I saw it in the shop, I thought there's quite a few things I can combine with this, and I already have got an idea how to alter the look of the bench, so I got that one. Then they have lots of books at the moment in their collection, different sizes. They've got small ones, these are the medium ones, and they've got the large ones. So I picked the medium ones because I thought I can combine these best with what I have already. And also I bought the bookshelves, and I thought these looked nice on the bookshelf. Sorry about the glare, I haven't unpacked these yet. I will do that when I'm going to put them in my folder. So yeah, bookshelf it's just called, but I've got two sizes there, and these are Book of Lost Words. So I thought they're really lovely. Got LS for Lavinia Stamps there. This one says Lavinia Stamps, and Apothecary there in Dreamatorium. I really like their look. They've got a bit more branding going on at the moment. I saw some stickers as well, where they've got the LS for Lavinia Stamps. It's really lovely. I think I will, by now, will put a picture of myself actually in front of the Dreamatorium in this video, or I'll put it at the end, I don't know yet, because I did get dressed up a little bit. So these, I was very eager to get these. This is called Double Trouble. These are the new mice with the light bulbs, really cute. And I needed to have these as well. These are the fledglings. They're little birdies, but they've got, the feathers sticking up there. They're really cute. And then this is to go with the mice as well. The light bulbs, different sizes here, two different sizes of them, and then a single one here. I'm sure that's very versatile. Then I got the swing. I did not get the pixie that was suggested or I've seen in design team samples. I'm not into pixies really, so I thought I'd get this one because that fits nicely into the archway. But I also thought, you know, you can put it on a branch, and if you don't want a pixie or fairy sitting on it, you can always have birds sitting on there, or maybe even Pippin. And again, it's a good size, I think. And yeah, so I've shown you the archway. This is really lovely in the details again here. So I'm looking forward to working with that. And also because I recently bought the steps, fairy steps, and the pathway, so I can create a few more scenes with that. So I'm looking forward to that. This one's the ink pot that's going with the books. I thought it was interesting. I thought this was a feather, but it's actually a fairy wing. I think this is really cute. Then this is the Grand Fairy clock. Again, I knew I needed to have this one. It's quite a big one, but I like the samples that the design team make with that. I think it works for a mail card very well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to using that. Maybe even mixing and matching it with other brands, because I don't work for Lavinia. I've got quite a few clock stamps and embossing folders and dies. So yeah, looking forward to working with that. Then this one is actually an older stamp that I never really paid attention to until I recently saw a few makes on the Facebook page, Lavinia for You, and somebody had combined that with the bumblebees. This is called Glow Flowers, so that went on my shopping list. And again, it sort of reminded me, I always, mostly stamp these in black, but the person on the, sorry, I didn't sort of, pay attention to their name. They stamped these, I think, in purple and green, and I think that's a great idea. If I make a video with that, I will try to enclose the name of the person that inspired me there. So I got one stencil here. This one's called White Orbs. Again, I saw that being used in a video, and I thought it's useful to have this for different size circles and get a bokeh effect. I've got another stencil with circle cuts, but they're bigger, so I thought this would be nice. I was tempted to buy another stencil, but refrained from it because I couldn't remember whether I already had it, because my stencils by Lavinia, they're not in order. They are in lots of places where I really need to tidy them. So then I got something which I sort of already have from a different brand, but I saw Emma Jo make some shrink plastic earrings, and they were really great, and she swears by the Sizzix shrink plastic. I've got different brands. I've got quite a few videos on my channel already where I made shrink plastic earrings, and I think even other decorations. So I treated myself to these. You get 10 in a pack. They're £10, so it's £1 per sheet, but you don't use a lot really. And especially for the shrink plastic, last time I went, I got some black archival ink, and this time I treated myself to another colour. This is the Forget Me Not, which is a sort of lighter blue. Again, because I saw Emma Jo make, well, she had a few samples there. She had a lovely hair, and the inner side of the hair was stamped with some blue. So I got one of these colours to work with that. So talking of hairs, or rather rabbits, I treated myself to this lovely coaster. They've got lots of gifts in the shop as well, so it's not all about crafty stuff. And that was, I think, that was only £3, I think. So that was really cute. Then also on my shopping list was something that I got a bit panicky about beforehand, because I was worried they wouldn't have it in stock because it was not available on the website. But apparently they kept it back to have it for the shop opening, and that is some of the New Elements colours. I didn't buy them all, and I took advantage of the offer they had on, which was 6 Elements inks for £32, so you were saving a little bit. So these here are all from the new range, I do believe. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I got the soft signet. I wasn't sure about this at first, but I thought this works well with the the browns, the truffle, and maybe even from the distress range, the vintage photo. So I got this one here because it was nothing I hadn't. I've got nothing like that in my selection already. Then the lemon drop I really wanted. It's a very light and pastel but bright yellow. I got the flying fig, which is a sort of pinkish purple. I've got two purples already, but nothing like that. A pink elephant, and I've got nothing like that because I don't even think I've got the confetti, which is also pink from the Elements range. And then I got the spun candy, which is a very subtle pink. So this is sort of new for me. And then because I wanted to pick a 6th ink to get the offer, but I didn't want the new greens. They're lovely. They've got green parrot and another new green, absolutely beautiful. But I've already got 2 greens and I wasn't quite sure how often I would use the really bright colours. So I got the graphite. I quite often use the distress oxide, I forgot now what it's called. But I thought I'd get this one here because with the oxides, they're a bit chalky sometimes. So I thought if I've got the graphite, I think that might work a little bit better with the other Elements inks. So we're nearly done. Another thing I got, because Emma Jo used it on her shrink plastic, and I've never bought them before. I've seen it used lots of times. I thought I didn't need it. I got a pan pastel in titanium white. Quite a few crafters use that to create a lighter background, or even when you work on black cards. So I'm looking forward to working with that and seeing how that works. I've got a pastel pen, like a white pen, but I've never worked with this before. So yeah, looking forward to that, but I only got one colour. Then that was on my shopping list, more rather boring stuff. I wanted to top up my clear embossing powder, but I also got, this is the gloss one, but I also got a clear matte dull. Never worked with that before. Looks a bit more like a cream colour, but I thought that might be interesting to work with, so I just got it. So, and one thing I had an inkling about that I already had it, bought it anyway, can never have enough anyway. Stickles in Cayman. I just looked in my drawer. Yes, I already have it. So I'll just have to use a bit more of that in the near future. It's just this colour, but yeah, you should have seen me in the shop. I put it back on the shelf, got it out again, put it back, and I thought, yeah, I'm taking it home. But I think again it was only like £3, so it's not a big expense. Yeah, but that's my haul side of it. I'm going to clear this table now, and I would like to start creating a background for a card idea that only involves these at the moment, I think, and then mostly some older stamps because yeah, this idea came to me 2 days ago, so I thought I'll have a go at that. To create this really simple background, I'm going to use my gel plate. This one's a bit messy, it's got lots of silver on it, so I'm conscious that that will probably come off, but I'm not too bothered about that. But at the moment, using the gel press for the background is my favourite medium, so I thought I might just as well do that again. And I just want to create a little bit of a sky. I just remembered that I forgot to get one ingredient. So, because this technique was also demonstrated on Friday, Joe Rice created a sky with clouds. Admittedly, I'm only got the last bit of it, of the demonstration, but I do believe she used cotton wool. I've only got these pads, so I've just opened mine up and tried to fluff it a little bit up, and this is what she used to create the cloud texture on the gel plate. So I'm hoping I can mimic that look. I'm not quite sure how those pads work, but as always, I'm just putting down the ink in the background with a brayer. I'm using the Blue Atoll and the Della Blue. I'm just creating a little mix. So I'm just filling up my brayer and then lightly going over the top, not taking too much off again. I just realised I need a little bit of scrap paper as well, because the paper underneath is the one I want to stamp on. So I'm trying to go over that seam in the middle a little bit. So, and then I'm just using this here, trying to not have the edge on it, and just take the ink off a little bit. So I hope I'm doing this right. So, and then I would like to do 2 lots of stamping today. So just picking it up with that acetate. You could also use your what's it called, the plate from the stamping platform, but mine sticks on this quite well. So I'm stamping this down here now, and I can see through the acetate where I need to press down. Although this is a bit mucky, so I can't see a lot. Could also lift this up. I could have cut it in 2 pieces, really. Lift it up and then press from the other side, but this should be okay. And then I'm peeling this off. Oh, I can see the cloud texture, but I've still got quite a few streaks there. But I thought I'd just take a ghost print. I just put my finger on it though, which I shouldn't have done, but I probably will be cutting down these anyway. So I'm just pressing that here. So these sort of streaks, that's what happens if you use a brayer and you don't move it about enough. I'm not an expert at these techniques, and I probably should have used a little bit more of the cotton wool, but I'm sure Jo Rice will have a video on her channel on how to do it properly. Oh yeah, and the ghost print, don't even know if the camera picks it up, that's way too light. And of course you can see there where I put my finger. So I tell you what, I always leave these things in. Let's do it again, see if we can get a bit better result. So I'm not even sure where I had which colour, but it doesn't matter. So make sure you move it about to get rid of those streaks. You can also spritz some water onto your gel press and create some specks. So I'm really going over it very lightly. I'm not applying a lot of pressure. So, and then maybe I need to be a bit more vigorous with this here. Or it's just not the right medium. Just pick up the colour, but maybe the ink is too light, so don't get a lot of contrast there. So I'm just going over this again because the background is so light, the ghost print. Don't do what I just did. Do you see what I did? I dropped it. So never mind, we can stamp over that. Could have put it on the back. Probably knocked the camera as well. I'm just rolling with this now. If you don't want to use a gel plate, obviously you can just do some ordinary ink blending. I usually find this is much quicker, especially if I want a quick area than that, like that. There we go. Can you see the clouds? So it does work, except for this bit, but because I'm stamping the big flowers, I will be hiding that. But this is where I put my finger, so I will be cutting this down. So I'm leaving that to dry for a moment. I've got some chores to do, and I come back then and will get my stamps out as well. So I've got some of my stamps ready and my inks. The idea for this image came about because I was thinking the other day when I was using all the bumblebees and bees and butterflies that there's quite a few of these around now, and I thought that might cause a little bit of air traffic. So I thought, would it not be nice if one of the mice, and I've chosen Moo here, if he did a little bit of air traffic control. And I have used him before with this little feather from the woodland set because he was trying to be like a bat, but this time he's definitely controlling the air a little bit. So this is why I like the idea of having the clouds there as the sky, but I need to create a little bit of a base for Moo to stand on, and that's where I'm bringing in my new glow flowers. So I thought I'd just have a few at the bottom here. You can stand on a lower one, and I definitely want to cover this, and then I can add all the other well, bees, and I'm not quite sure whether Bumble and Hum will be a little bit too big, but obviously they can be in the foreground and the others can be in the background. I have, by the way, mislaid one of my little butterfly stamps because I used it last week to make myself some stud earrings, but I've got this one here. Then there's also one in the fairy bug set, which flies the other way around. We've got the flying dragonfly. I'm not sure I will use a sitting one here. And I've got the bee miniature, and obviously I've got the bumble chums that I cut apart just last week for one of my cards. So plenty to play with. So I would like to ink up this glow flower here in 2 different colours. So I have got the Very Perry for the top, and I'm going to be using the Verdant for the bottom. I would always actually start with a lighter colour, so that if you accidentally pick up some ink, then you don't ruin your ink pad. So as you can see, it just went in there with the Verdant, and then with this one here, I want to make sure I've actually, let me just get my inky pinky there. I actually want the stem to be green, so I'll take a little bit of the Very Perry off and go in here with the edge. So I'm coming in again, making sure. If I look from the side, I can see the edge of the ink pad and can place it a little bit better down there. As long as I don't have a gap, I don't mind a little bit of green coming up into the flower. So now I'm just stamping that over that smudge I had here from dropping the gel press. And as always, give the ink a little bit of time to sit on the paper and to sink in. I do apologise, my camera's wobbling a little bit. That's usually when the table hits the stand. So once I've taken this off, I will quickly switch the camera off and remedy that. So I've still got a little bit of a streak going there, but the other one is well hidden. So I've inked up the second one. This one I want to sit a little bit higher just to have some variation. And I already know that I want some second generation there. So I'm going to, once I've set this down here, I'm going to come in here and hopefully can cover that other smudged bit. Yeah, it's slightly disappearing. Obviously, if you've got darker colours, it might actually show that you're stamping over that. I'm just thinking whether I want one more. I might come in with another plant afterwards, or we've got the second one, the second glow flower, which has, oh, here it is. So I could always come in with that. I might do that afterwards, but you've seen the technique, so I don't need to show you that. So now I can come in with Moo. He will definitely be stamped in black. So I've got my onyx black. I think nowadays it has got a different name. So with this one, because it's a silhouette stamp, I need to make sure I've got plenty of ink on him. And I'm checking that before I stamp. And also I'm always a bit mindful that I don't put my fingernail in the ink and then that ends up on here. So he will definitely stand on this flower. I'm actually lowering him a little bit. It doesn't have to stand right at the top. And again, I'm leaving some time for this to sink in. So, and with the feathers, I thought if he's a proper air traffic controller, I think I need to stamp one in green and one in red. So we have like a stop and a go. So, lifting that up, yeah, that's lovely. It's a little bit speckled in the middle, but I'm okay with that. That's not too bad. By the way, I always work on my UK Crafts Limited 300 GSM. I'm very happy with the texture of this. I don't need to buy any specialty paper like, you know, the what's it called, multifarious, which is lovely to work on, but I find I get very good results with this one here. So I think for the green feather, I don't want to use the same colour as this. I think I come in with the, I call it a Cali green, but it's called Green Oasis. So shall we have green in the right hand and red in the left, I think. So, and I'm going a little bit with the direction of his paws, making sure it will actually connect there. Yeah, that's lovely. So I'm just wondering whether I need to show you the other stamping. So I will basically stamp the other characters. I will have a little play who goes where and which direction. So the ones that fly into that direction, they will definitely go on the left hand side of the card, and the other ones will go in on the right hand side. But I think I just do this off camera. I don't need to show you anything special there. And then I just show you how I would colour this in, and also off camera I will add a few of the smaller flowers here. I have stamped all my bumblebees, bee and the two butterflies and that dragonfly, and this one's actually sitting down here waiting for this one to arrive. I will at a later point, when I've found my other butterfly, will add that one here, the one that's got sort of like symmetrical wings. That's not going in this one direction, either there or there. By the way, I didn't mention that earlier. Because I put my finger onto the gel plate, I cut this down massively here now. So this is only 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 to go on a 5 by 7 card. I'm not quite sure yet how that looks. I will decide that off camera. I might even have a smaller format than I normally would choose. But I just wanted to show you a few things for colouring it in. I just got my Kuretake pens out again, and I took one of the offcuts here to have a trial run how the colours would mix, because if I use yellow on the blue background, and this is a water reactive ink, I might get a bit of a muddled look, but I'm okay with that. It's a sort of a greenish yellow, but I'm okay with that. So I will use that on the bumblebees. I'm not moving the ink about too much. Let me just zoom in because this is really, really tiny. I also had to put my light on. I've still got daylight, but sometimes the contrast, I will actually leave the bum white because there are bumblebees that have got a white bum. But sometimes the contrast of the sunlight with a dark room doesn't quite work well. Doesn't work that well. Can you see? So that's actually quite good. With the butterflies here, I have already added some purple and some pink, but I'm going to use my water brush now, making sure the tip is wet, to move that ink about a little bit and shift it. Just contemplating whether my brush doesn't have enough water in it. Sorry about that. Should have been better prepared. Yeah, I have to fill that a little bit more. But I want to move that ink about, which you can do with Kuretake pens. Let me just get a different brush. I've got a drop of water here now and a thin brush. That works just as well, probably even a bit better with a tip. So I can apply this here and then drag this ink out a bit. It has been maybe sitting for a bit too long, so what I can do is I can pick up the colour here from the tip of the brush with my paintbrush and come in again and move this a little bit about. And I got this really sort of ombre look then. So best do it when you've freshly applied the ink, not like I had where it had dried for a few minutes. So I can even put it straight on there and then just move it about. So let me just lift that up so you can see that. Can you see the ombre look? So I'll be doing the same for this butterfly, and then for the little bumblebee I wanted to show you something. Although I was careful to ink it up properly, the bum here is a little bit speckled. It might even be part of that stamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a fine liner and I'm just going to come in and speckle that a bit more. Just make sure you've got one that dries matte so it doesn't show too much. So, and I know there was something else I wanted to show you. Oh yes, I've got here a black gel pen. Not sure this is a branded one. I'm sure I've got them linked below. And I like to give the mouse a little eye. So I'm just testing it here on the side, making sure it flows nicely. And then trying to zoom in a little bit more. I'm just popping one eye just there. Just get rid of the muck. There we go. And although I'm not sure the camera will pick that up, but this actually dries a little bit glossy, and then basically the recipient can just about see that eye. I quite like the look of that. You could go in with a white pen if you like that, but that sometimes can look a bit spooky. So I'm just going to fill in, finish the colouring, and I'm going to mat this onto a card. I'm contemplating, because I will have quite a bit of an edge, to do some stenciling in the background, but I want to keep this video as short as possible now, and then I'll show you the finished card. So I've got my card base here. I've used the spun candy and this lovely stencil here. I put some paper on the inside to protect the back of the card. I put some paper here on the side to protect the my desk here, and I just went round the outside. I think this is an absolute lovely colour, but when I put this down, I think it's a little bit too much, and I think I'm better off just leaving it on a plain card. I think this is just enough. I think all that might need maybe a little bit of a frame, but I will decide that on at a later date. And as I said, I will add my butterfly once I have found it, which hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, but I think this is a nice idea. I think it's really cheeky. I hope you like this as well, and I hope you could pick up some ideas for stamping and colouring from this. And if you did, you might want to give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that, and I'll see you soon with another video.